Lindsay. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so glad that you're joining us today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much for setting this up and giving me a chance to share our story here.
Yeah, well, ever since I first heard a tiny little glimpse of your story, I was really piqued by it and moved and inspired and wanted to connect and not only hear more about it myself, but share it with this tribe. It's a great story of transformation and of wellness and of personal journeying. So, yeah, I'm very excited to have you here, very excited to hear a little bit more about what you do. So tell me what you do. We'll start there.
Well, my wife and I are in the business of changing people's lives and helping them reinvent their healthcare. It's hands down the most rewarding business that we've ever been in, and we ended up partnering with doTERRA essential oils, and basically how the journey started was we had certain health concerns that we wanted to address, and ended up finding doTERRA essential oils and ended up using them and falling in love. And this typical pattern that we keep seeing with everybody over and over again is you get your oils, you realize there's a lot to these oils, and it's not just some hocus pocus stuff, and you start solving some certain health dilemmas that you have, and your next step is you immediately want to share them with people.
Right.
And that's exactly where we were. I remember that anytime someone has a headache, it's like, oh, you have to try this past tense stuff, or anytime someone has back pain, it's like, oh, we have this amazing deep blue rub, totally safe, it has no harmful side effects, no chemicals, you have to try it out. And, time and time again, we saw people having these issues and then being alleviated with essential oils. And we got to the point where it's like, okay, well, maybe we could start doing this more as a business. And it turns out doTERRA has a pretty fantastic, business model and business plan. So basically within a little over a year, we've gotten to the point where our business has grown, and it's grown well. And, the response to this has just been fantastic. And right now, Megan is actually doing what's called Diamond Club with doTERRA, which means for 4 months straight, she travels all around the country and actually, gets paid and reimbursed for all of her expenses so that she can go around and teach these classes to people on how they can reinvent their healthcare too. So, it's been a whirlwind of a journey for this past year, and we're really excited to see where the business goes in the next year.
It's so great, and it's such important work, and it ties right into some of the key messages that I love to turn people onto around reclaiming their own health journey and using natural tools that do no harm and awaken the body to their own healing mechanism. So I'm so excited to dive in more. But first, I want to share with everyone your personal transformative story. You have had just an unbelievable experience yourself, and I'd love to just hand it over to you to share where you were just a few months ago and how all of this came to be, that we now are in the same fair state.
Yeah. Well, I think it actually, you ended up commenting on one of the classes that we did back in New York, and it was actually one of the larger classes we did. There was almost 70 people there, which is difficult to say the least. We were trying to teach an essential oil class, but you made this comment about a little story I told about my struggle with depression, and this is actually what really sparked this interest in doTERRA. So, all right, so I guess a little bit before that, so probably a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, not a very happy person, not doing a ton to, find myself, or not doing much to really improve myself at all, pretty overweight, not physically active at all, had a job that I hated, kind of in the same story, or kind of in the same boat as a lot of Americans, or just a lot of people in general.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening was my wife, Megan, was going to IAN to become a certified health coach, and basically she started introducing me to doTERRA and essential oils. And again, being like a guy and coming from a science background, I probably was a bit skeptical at first, but basically what ended up happening is she was like, okay, well, I know you don't want to be on these antidepressant medications. And she actually told me, I know when you're on them and I know when you're not on them, and she was like, I know you're not taking them right now. And I was like, what do you mean? And this was news to me. This was shocking to me. I had no idea that my personality or emotions or whatever fluctuated this much when I was taking them or not taking them. And, that was kind of the first catalyst that really, made me want to try something different. And that really hurt,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, I will literally try anything. Let me try this essential oil. And doTERRA has an essential oil called Wild Orange, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's orange, and it's hands down like the most beautiful smell in the world. But on top of that, it also has these really great medicinal properties. And the one in particular that it's most well known for is its ability to treat depression. And so, basically what I did was, used a few drops of wild orange, put it in my hands, rub my hands together, and then just cut my nose, and did about 30 seconds of deep breathing with this wild orange. And really, any time that I had, any of those feelings of depression or sadness or anxiety or anything else that comes along with depression, I would just take a couple drops of that essential oil, and it was almost shocking that within I think it was like a week or two, really had no more need for my medication at all, and ended up probably the doctor probably wasn't too happy about that, but stopped taking it. Ended up feeling awesome and empowered and intrigued that I could take one small step like this, and basically start reinventing my future. And that was kind of this initial spark that set off this wild journey. After that, I ended up, getting more and more excited about essential oils and all their, therapeutic uses, and then started taking a look at my own physical body and how I could address that. Ended up losing almost 70 pounds now, which is crazy because I'm only 5'7", so like 70 pounds for a guy that's 5'7" is a lot of weight. So that was awesome. Ended up running, and again, never ran before, and now, like a typical warm-up run is like a 5K. So, doing that just a couple weekends ago, ended up like running up a mountain, which is really weird for me, and I'm like standing on top of it, like laughing, almost crying, thinking like, I can't believe, how far I've come. So then we started addressing, living in upstate New York, not the best place to live. Weather is absolutely terrible. It snows for like 9 months out of the year, if you don't know.
I have family in upstate New York. My family is, for many generations, gone to Vassar and Poughkeepsie, and my grandparents have a property out in Rensselaerville. And so I've spent lots of time in very, very high drifts of snow.
Well, we actually, my wife and I grew up there, so it's just really defeating and kind of miserable. So we were like, so this really amazing shift started happening in our life, and we started getting healthy. We started eating, much, much better. Megan was vegan for a while, and we were eating, mostly vegetarian or vegan for a long time. We just started making all these small changes towards a new future. And, one thing that was still standing in our way was we don't really want to live in New York anymore. But me in particular always had that worry of, well, if we move somewhere, how are we going to afford it?
Right.
It's a lot of money and it's difficult. What's going to happen? How am I going to get a job? All these questions. And I feel like the universe was really giving us a sign saying, I'm going to keep putting all these struggles in your way until you listen to me and until you make that jump. And what ended up happening was our basement ended up flooding really badly. So to the point where we were literally up all night long.
Oh my gosh.
Literally taking the shop vac and shop vacuuming water up and running it upstairs and dumping it out into my neighbor's yard. And literally that's all we did all night long. It was absolutely terrible. And that was literally the breaking point where we were like, okay, I don't care how we're going to do it, but let's do it. Let's find out a way to make this move. And I swear to God, I forget what day that was, but it was less than a week later, and I'm totally not making this up. It might sound like it, but I'm not. There was a lady that pulled up in front of our driveway, came up to our door, and goes, I really love your house. I know you're not selling it right now, but would you ever consider selling it? And we were eating lunch. I remember it was really weird, and we were really taken back. And I was like, huh? Yeah. I guess let's talk this over. And it was I think 11 days later, we had a really awesome purchase offer on our house, and we literally started selling everything and packed up what we could fit into a little Honda Fit, which I know that's hilarious. And basically took our overcapacity Honda Fit from New York and left everything, and I quit my job, and we set off on this 2-month journey across the country, and basically lived on the road for 2 months, and it was the most amazing journey we've been on, and drove 9,000 miles, and got to see all these amazing places, and ended up landing in Southern California, which literally is our dream location. It's absolutely beautiful here all the time, and ended up getting a really awesome, day job, which I can do kind of for fun, in geology, because that's my background.
You have to tell us just a tiny bit more about that, because I know there's a little bit more of a story about you kind of not even really believing that a job could be out there aligned to what you do, that you could enjoy as much as you do. And you actually manifested not only this move and a new home, but this job.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing?
No, it's not a problem at all. Again, I worked, in a field that, so my background and my education is in geology, so huge rock nerd, huge nerd at heart, and basically, worked at a job for 5 years where, I wasn't doing anything that really, piqued that side of me, or, piqued that interest in me. And, what ended up happening was, so we left, started driving. I had no jobs lined up. I had nothing lined up, but I just started writing emails to companies in Southern California, and a very not typical cover letter. I basically said, I'm doing something awesome. I'm going to follow my dream, and I want you to be a part of it. And I had so many responses from almost demanding that, you're going to give me a job even though you don't have a job open. I had more interviews in a few weeks of doing this lined up than I had in New York, for 3 or 4 years of trying to interview for jobs. And it was all this, I don't know if it's addictive or what it is, but it's this kind of idea that like this energy that you put off, other people almost like gravitate towards and have to soak in.
Yep.
So I ended up getting a response back from this company in Southern California, and the vice president was like, I've read probably 200 cover letters in the past few years, haven't responded to a single one of them. I need to meet you. I need to know like more about what's going on with you. And I ended up doing a Skype interview with this guy. His name's Joseph. Really awesome guy. And, you know, we kind of clicked when he was like, oh, you know, we were making small talk. He's like, oh, what's your wife do? And I go, oh, she's a holistic health coach. And he gave me this really weird look, like kind of puzzled. And, you know, I'm thinking, okay, well, here's you know, vice president, geologist that is probably like, what the hell is that holistic health coach? What does that even mean? Right. You know, and he goes, oh, did she graduate from IIN? And I was like, what? Like, what do you... And he goes, oh, yeah, I just graduated from IIN, like, 18 months ago. He's like, yeah, I'm also a holistic health coach. He's like, that's my other job out here in Southern California. So, you know, we were both kind of floored at, like, again, how the universe has made this weird, dramatic, you know, like, crossing of paths happen.
This intersection where you just know you're on path.
Yeah. So, obviously, we got along really well. It's within a few months to the point where me and him are sharing an office now, which is weird. But yeah, we're good friends, and you know, I got involved in this great company that, you know, satisfies my sort of you know, like scientific background and interests, and I get to be a nerd during the daytime and at night and on weekends. You know, kind of satisfy that more emotional and servant side of me when I'm doing doTERRA.
It's such a mind-blowing story. I just love it so much. What do you think is the most surprising piece of it for you? When you look back on that incredible change from where you were that night, bailing out your basement, to where you're standing right now, and you have, by the way, you have this light coming in behind you, so you look like you have this etheric halo. You're just in the light, Kyle. What surprises you most about the journey?
I think what surprises me most is the fact that once I started letting go, once I started putting more faith in, you know, the universe or whatever you want to call it, you know, religion, I don't care. Once I started letting go of my preconceived ideas of how things are going to work, and started, you know, saying, you know, it's up to you. I'm going to do the best I can. And, you know, I hope that something good turns out. Once I took that first step, and then that second step, and then the next step, it was just time and time again unbelievable how all these things started falling into my lap, falling into place, and you know, just started happening. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot I would like to get across. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot involved in like our mission or whatever. And I think one of the big things that I want to stress to people is, you know, like really believe in yourself and take that first step. You know, even if it's scary, even if you think it's not going to work out, you know, it will. You know, believe that it will. And, you know, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, like, we were handed any of this stuff.
Right.
You know, we worked hard for it. We work all the time.
I call it chop wood, carry water. Do you know that Buddhist phrase? The story goes that someone asked Buddha, what do you do before enlightenment? And Buddha says, you chop wood, carry water. And he said, well, what do you do after enlightenment? And he says, you chop wood, carry water. And it's that piece of, you hold the faith and you believe and you take steps in the direction of your dreams and you release the pieces you know don't serve you. But along the way, you can't just sit and wait. You've got to keep engaging with the universe so that those doors open and you can walk through them.
Yeah, I love, that's a great quote. And I love the idea that that everybody is so much bigger than who they think they actually are.
Yes.
And you're so much more capable of what you actually think you're capable of.
Yes.
And I love this quote on so many levels, or I love this idea on so many levels that you're so much bigger and stronger than you actually think you are.
Yep.
And I think for me, one of the, I guess, most obvious ways to understand this or to see this was through exercise. And, it started with running.
Yeah.
And, that idea that, being like 5'7", not tall and lanky at all, I was never a runner. I never knew how to run. And it was this idea that, well, I'm going to learn how to run, and I'm going to get really good at it. And, now when I run, it's to the point where I really want to see what I'm physically capable of, and so once I start hitting that sort of point or that wall where I'm getting tired and, lactic acid buildup and getting in pain in my body, I start repeating to myself, I can do anything. Yeah. And I honestly really, really believe that. And I repeat it to myself. I turn my music up in my headphones and I make myself run faster, or harder. And it's that idea that I know that my body, every cell in my body is so much more capable of what I think I can do.
Yeah.
And I just love that idea of, whatever you think you can do right now, just blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
That was kind of our whole mantra for this past, 4 or 5 months is, let's take this dream and, let's blow it up into something massive,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, before we kind of transition out, I want to just go back to essential oils a little bit because I know people are going to be incredibly moved by your story, and I know they're going to want to know how they can apply it to themselves. Another reason I wanted to talk to you is because probably the number one question I get asked by people who find me either through our interview series or our Facebook parties or our website is about my own personal story with essential oils and how they can get started. And to be totally honest, I haven't had a super cohesive answer for them. And I'm excited about being connected because I'd like to help people through this interview understand that regardless of what they're experiencing, essential oils are a great way to not only potentially address a condition they might be feeling, but also this thing you're describing, which is just releasing and awakening such that all this good stuff like healing, like your soul purpose, like even your soul partner can begin to come to you. So let's start with, if someone out there does have something that they're up against or something that they're open to addressing with essential oils, where would they start?
Well, where we like to start with this is we want to start talking to you. Mm-hmm. If you have a certain health concern that you want to start addressing. And our idea is, or our philosophy is that everybody's body is totally different. Mm-hmm. It's that idea of bio-individuality where, there isn't like a one-step solution or a cure-all for everybody. So, the main thing that we like to do is start talking to you, start talking about your health concerns, and really start trying to decide like a certain protocol for you individually.
Yep.
The most amazing thing about essential oils, though, is that, it's this idea of, safe and effective and actually cheaper medication than most Western medicine. So, we can start to, delve into new ideas, start experimenting with certain essential oils, and the interesting thing that starts happening is once you start kind of developing your own protocol and developing what works best for you, your body almost goes through this shift of understanding with essential oils where it starts listening more and more to what you're using, and responding really well to essential oils. So I think if somebody had a certain, ailment or health concern or whatever that they're interested in and haven't used essential oils at all before, we would be more than happy to start introducing you to them. We'd love to send you samples and, start to address your health concerns. And
I love that.
I think once you start introducing essential oils into your life, everybody starts going through this surprising shift of, okay, well, now I kind of want to learn what other oils there are out there, and what other,
I want more.
what other ailments I can start addressing.
Absolutely. So I get asked about my protocol all the time, and I didn't have anyone guiding me or acting as my mentor. So I had these oils that I used as part of a Lyme protocol for myself and my children. And what I did was I put them on the kids' feet at night, and I put them in a diffuser by their bedside table. Is that the way to go? How do you recommend people start when they first get, say, a sample? How do they, just give someone an example of what it would be like to integrate them into their daily routine?
Yeah, well, with doTERRA, there's basically 3 ways that you can use essential oils. The first is aromatically, like you said, where you're putting it in a diffuser and you're actually smelling it. This is really great for mood balance, and if you want to do like purification in your room. doTERRA has an oil called On Guard, which is this really, really incredible, like antibacterial, disinfectant. Actually has been shown to kill MRSA.
Oh, wow.
It's actually, there's a lot of, I think there's 100 or so hospitals in the U.S. that are actually diffusing On Guard oil right now in their hospitals.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing stuff. Aromatically is really nice. And the second one is topically, which is on your skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you put it on the bottom of your kid's feet, because that's actually where the largest pores are on your body.
Huh.
So when you put it on the bottom of your feet, you actually get the highest or quickest absorption rate.
Awesome.
Absolutely recommend putting it on the bottom of your feet. You can also put it on an actual local area. So say you have like a migraine. Earlier I mentioned an oil called Past Tense, which is a blend of a few separate oils. And what you do is you put it right on your temples.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the front of my forehead. And, it's got this beautiful, menthol, eucalyptus sort of smell. And you get that, really cold feeling on your skin almost immediately. And it's got to be within 30 seconds or a minute. A migraine or a headache is just completely gone.
Awesome.
So, again, totally shocking stuff.
That's so great.
And another one that we use a lot topically is lavender on the bottoms of our feet at night.
Yep.
Just an absolutely amazing experience for anyone that has any sort of insomnia or sleep issues, or just overall anxiety, just wants to be calmed down before bed and start to relax your body and mind. The lavender oil on the feet is just unbelievable. And the last way of getting them into your system is internally. And doTERRA is actually the only oil company, so I need to stress this right away, the only oil company that are actually safe to ingest.
Good to know. Okay.
So this is not an across-the-board
thing
with essential oils.
Do not try this at home.
Exclusively doTERRA.
Okay.
doTERRA actually is the one company that literally tests every single bottle that you buy in a third-party lab to ensure 100% purity and to make sure that there's absolutely no additives, no chemicals, no impurities, and making sure that it's literally just 100% pure oil from whatever plant that they're putting in the bottle. Digesting them, absolutely great way of getting in your system, but again, only doTERRA oils.
Okay.
No other company.
That is great. So it sounds very accessible. We know they're safe, and we know that it can be an experimental process, and that you build a relationship and you work to help people navigate their way. So it sounds like I can. Obviously, I'll provide the information below, but people can find you and Megan at ohmygoodness.com, and from there, also your new site, Oh My Goodness Essentials. kyle.webs.com, and I'll link that below.
Yep.
Find Kyle and Megan on Facebook. Ask questions. I think if you get really, really lucky, you might get one of Kyle's handwritten notes, which are an art form in themselves. And I just can't thank you enough for coming and sharing your, I call them pinch me in my dreaming stories. And I absolutely love yours, and I'm so happy for you. And I want to stay on each other's radar so we can hear more and learn more about your journey as it continues to unfold.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think what I want to stress most is there's absolutely, a solution to people's problems.
Yes.
You just need to start working towards finding that. And, for us, essential oils was really one of those major catalysts in solving our problems. And, we literally love helping people. We love changing people's lives. The most rewarding part of this business is hearing people come up to us and, as I'm sure you've experienced time and time again, to hear people's stories of change and growth and solving whatever, ailment they have, to hear them come up and say that to you is just beyond rewarding. And, we really feel like this is part of our mission, or part of our journey in life. And, we will literally take as much time as we need to work with someone individually to really start hopefully transforming their life and transforming, their future.
I love it. Well, everyone's going to want what you found. So I have just one more question in closing. I always like to ask the question, so if a person maybe is feeling stuck, if they're maybe still the person who feels like they're bailing out the basement and it's not their favorite job and maybe not their favorite place they're living, and there's a kind of dream or a knowing of something else out there for them, what's just one thing you would recommend that they could do to get unstuck on their journey?
You have to start. You have to, it sounds silly, but, there's a couple of quotes that I love and we say often. One, every day is a new day to start again, or every day is a new day to start over.
Yeah.
You have to really believe that you can change. You have to really believe that, big things can happen in your life. That believing, that's kind of the hard part, The easy part, and what I would totally recommend, is start with one step.
Yeah.
Start with one thing.
Yeah.
If it's, for me it was, starting with wild orange oil to start, dealing with depression. You need to start taking one step and then another and then another, and you don't, as long as you have that idea of the big picture in the back of your mind and are focusing on, the day-to-day one step, then, you can start to accomplish big things, but you absolutely have to believe in yourself, absolutely have to believe in this idea that there is something bigger that will help you out as long as you're willing to put in the work and improve your own life.
Awesome. Well, Kyle McHargue, this has been amazing. What an uplifting and just inspiring story. I'm so glad that we got to talk today, and I look forward to chatting more soon.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you. But do make sure that you find Kyle and Megan Elizabeth online, and let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Thank you.
Bye.